it's great to try to aspire to be them and like try to follow in their footsteps, but never compare yourself to someone who's been doing this for 8, 9 years and you're just starting off.
So you want to make an impact. You're thinking about starting a business, sharing your voice. How do women do it that handle motherhood, family, and still chase after those dreams? Well, listen each week as we dive into the stories of women who know. This is Call Me CEO. If you've ever had questions about how to grow on social media, my guest today is going to blow your mind. Nguyen is the creator of My Healthy Dish. She's been diving deep into social media for the last 9 years and has grown each platform on Instagram and TikTok and now YouTube at such a rapid rate. It's almost unbelievable. What I love about Mai more than anything is that she is very humble. She is very kind. And she is a mother of 2 living in California who values time with her children as well as her parents. She creates a lot of fun YouTube videos as well. Now it's everywhere, where she creates healthy dishes. And she is a Disney lover, just like I am. That's how we originally met, was through working with Disney. And I cherish our friendship so much and truly value the time that she spent with us today. If you find this helpful, please share it onto your own social media platforms. It helps so much for others to know that this resource is available here on Call Me CEO. So thank you so much, and let's dive in. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Call Me CEO. And today I am so pumped because my friend Nguyen is on with us today. She is the owner of My Healthy Dish and has gained quite a healthy following. If you've been around at all, you have seen her face. She has gained a following of 3.4 million on TikTok, 1 million on Instagram, and just hit 280K on YouTube. And on top of all of that, more than anything, she is a fantastic mother. She has the biggest heart and one of the most generous people I've ever met in life, as well as helping fellow creators. So you are all in for a special treat. Mai, thank you for being with us today.
Can you just do that intro from my phone too? So like anyone who calls me.
I'm happy to. I'm happy to.
I'm gonna have your voice recording every time someone calls me. Yes, I'm so excited. I love, I love you and I love chatting with you. So this is just, I was looking forward to having a chat, but we always talk business anyways. I feel like our conversations are like a podcast sometimes.
Oh, for sure. I know I've thought of that before where I'm like, really, those kind of conversations is what I want the podcast to be, where it's 2 friends sitting down and getting the dish, the healthy dish, and then,
The healthy dish.
Yeah, dishing it out. So yeah, this is a special treat. I'm so excited. I wanted to introduce our audience to you specifically and have you tell them about your background, how you started, what your roots are as far as your family and where you've come from, where you are now with your family, because I think what's really unique about your platform is how much that's influenced your work and what you truly value.
So I'm an immigrant from Vietnam. My dad was in the war, and so we were able to get like the refugee bill to come here to the United States. And I came here when I was, we left Vietnam when I was 1, and then we were at a refugee camp in the Philippines for a year, and then we ended up in New York for like 2 weeks in the dead of winter. And my dad was like, no, like you come from like this like humid, like hot country into like, I don't know, concrete jungle, frozen ice, So
and it's humid too. So it's like wet to the bones. It's the worst.
It's like dirty ice and snow. Yeah. So we planted our roots in LA, and thankfully, like if you're an immigrant, you know that like you rely heavily on family and friends when you first come here, whoever is here already. And so we were able to stay with friends for a while and like acclimate here, still dirt poor. And then we eventually moved to the Bay Area where I am now. And this is pretty much where I call home, because this is like I plant my roots. We own our home here. My family owns homes, but businesses, everything is here. So how I started like My Healthy Dish, that was interesting. It's like I was in mortgage and finance, and then I got laid off because, during the bubble, the housing market crashed,
Did
right?
you know that
So,
I worked in mortgage too? And I had
no, you did.
Jackson. Yes, I had Jackson in 2008, and that's when everything went
Did you
combust.
lose your job too then during that time?
Well, I was on maternity leave and I did lose my job. So I was on maternity leave, but then I got a severance. So yes, it was kind of
Yeah.
that perfect storm of at least the timing for me. I was just starting my family with kids at home.
But don't you think that because of that moment, it led to where we are today because it
Yeah.
got us out of a job that we didn't like?
Yeah.
And like, because you would never have quit a job that was paying the bills, right? Like it had to
Mm-hmm.
be like forced on you, even though we didn't like, I hated the job. Yeah. So that's so funny that we had that in common.
I
But
know. We've never talked about
I just,
that.
just found that out. Yeah. So we lost our jobs. My husband was in mortgage too. Harlan was in mortgage too. So we both lost our jobs around the same time. And then we lost our home. And then that's when I got pregnant with the twins. And that I don't know if you know, maybe I told you that like I was struggling to get pregnant for so long. And I think the stress of the job and everything and having that miscarriage was all because of where I was in that moment of time. I was so unhappy. So once I lost the job, I got pregnant with the twins like that, you know? So it was like starting over in your 30s where you have no home, no job, no career, like you don't know, like you're pregnant with twins and you can't actually just like go back to work. Who's going to hire you, even if, whatever. And I didn't have time. Like, how can I go back to work? I had these two kids to raise. So I was living with my parents. My husband went back to work and I was just feeling really restless, right? Because as me and you were like creators, we're always thinking, we're always trying to figure out what else to do. And so you feel so restless when you're at home with these two kids. I love them, but I want to do more than diapers, feeding, nap times, and like this monotony of like the day to day of everything. So we had a garage sale and we sold like when the girls were 3 or 4 maybe, and we sold all their baby clothes and all their baby stuff, and we made enough money to buy iPhone. And so me and my husband bought an iPhone, and this is like I'm dating myself because back then the big thing was Angry Birds to
Yeah.
download. That was because that was when like the apps were just starting and
Yeah, that
stuff.
was like the one game that you're like, oh, this is pretty cool.
Angry
Yeah.
Birds, like oh my gosh, and Instagram, right? That was like when the Instagram was new too. So I downloaded like those apps, and Instagram just instantly like called to me as more than this like a place where you post photos of your kids and all this. Like I was like, oh, there's something here. And this was before they bought out from Facebook. So it was just a photo sharing app, very, very basic and very simple. But I just saw something in it that like no one else did, and I hit the ground running. I was like, I borrowed $1,500 from my mom to buy a MacBook. I started somewhat of a blog, which I still am not really a blogger, but like I'm like, oh, this is what you're supposed to do if you're a food creator, right? So, and I just spent like 40 hours a week just creating content on Instagram way, way, way back then. And like I remember hitting 3,000 followers. And my friends at a barbecue, I'm like, oh my God, you're like famous. 3,000 followers. That was how back then was. It was so early.
Yeah.
So early, right?
You hit it way early.
Yeah. So I think there's something to be said about being an early adapter with any social media platform. So like with anything that opens up like TikTok or Periscope or, all those Snapchats. I mean, I always reserve my name and give it a shot and see what happens. Like you roll the dice with it.
I think that it's okay, but you're skipping over one of the most intense things I've ever seen is when you found out what TikTok was. We found out about the same time together, but then it was about 6 months later that you're like, no, I'm really going for this. And I am posting 3 or 4 times a day and I'm just creating. There was like this
gleam in your eyes. You like are the most focused person I've ever seen when it
tunnel vision. It's
you
tunnel
do
vision.
like it's like, sure, there's other things going on, but I'm creating content. Like what is that drives you in such
Yeah.
a strong way?
I remember that conversation with you. I remember calling you like, okay, I think I got it. Like, cause I've been playing around with TikTok. I'm like, I think I know what I'm going to do now. Like for months and months trying to figure out this app. And I'm like, I think I know it. And I was like, I think I'm gonna make this guacamole video, and like it's like a secret Chipotle, whatever. And that one, actually, that was one of my first viral videos, and I was talking to you about. I'm like, I think I know how I'm gonna approach TikTok. But like, if you like go backwards, TikTok started during the pandemic when we were all like, again, these moments where we slow down, right? These moments where we have to pause, just like when I lost my job. And so when the pandemic hit in April of 2020, literally that was when I really started to focus on TikTok. Because before I was just playing around with it, filming here and there, and like, oh, not growing, I can't figure it out. I was like stuck at like 60,000 followers, and I was doing it since November. I'm like, And then in April, when everything shut down, we weren't traveling anymore. A lot of my contracts were on hold because everyone didn't know what we were doing. Like no one knew. So everything was just like paused. I'm like, this is a good moment to like dive deep into TikTok and just all this extra time that I didn't have, right? So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna film 2 or 3 videos a day, every day. Like every day, it was spaghetti to the wall. I just felt like there was something there. And I was still growing slowly, but it wasn't until that conversation, that like light bulb moment I told you about, that I was like, okay, I think I figured it out. And that was when everything kind of exploded. Like it was like I think at that time, maybe 100,000 followers. And then I think I hit 1 million within like 2 or 3 months, because it was just like, I have the secret sauce. I finally figured it out. And I think that's just with any social media, that you play around for six months to a year, really testing things out. And I call it that spaghetti to the wall theory. And then and learning from each one and getting to this aha moment where that's it. That's the secret sauce. And that's what I'm doing. And that's what happened. I finally just light bulb. And that same thing with TikTok. I just Instagram, TikTok, and now YouTube. It was just like, I finally figured it out. And then I just hit the ground running. Like, okay, filming all day, but that's just, I neglect everyone else. I neglect my children, my husband, and my other my friends. And then now we're at 3.4 million.
It's incredible. Like it is your amount of dedication and focus is so unique. Like because I too was like, well, I'm going to try and I got burnt out with doing so many videos, and I wasn't even doing as many as you were. I was doing 5 a week. And that alone was like, oh,
yeah, it's torturous.
For those who are listening right now and they're thinking maybe they want to create on TikTok, do you think it's too late? And how would you suggest that people, what is that secret sauce? Is that something you share, or is that something you have to discover?
It's a little bit of both. Like we all know, well, I don't think it's too late to grow on any social media channel. I think now is the time that all 4, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok, are all competing against each other to have creators stay on board. So they're giving you a lot of incentives. So they're giving you money in like creator fund, or like, I think Instagram's paying bonuses and whatever, and live IGTV, they're giving you money and everything. YouTube is now having a creator fund and everything. But what the big value here is, like, if you really are neck deep into it, is that there's such an opportunity to grow on any channel. Like there is, whatever your hands touch, it seems like it's just going to grow if you're consistent, because they want you there. They're competing for your content. And this is what I find amazing about TikTok, is that they kind of led the way.
Yes. And
they kind of took the shift from putting the users first on their platform. Like Instagram had their users first, right? They always, everything was for the users. And then TikTok flipped it and put it as the creators first. Like, you guys are important to us. This is like, they're sending swag bags and having Zoom calls and questionnaires and events and just appreciation things and monetizing, giving you money and a business like marketplace to get campaigns. Like, they were just like creator. And guess what? A lot of people left Instagram to go to TikTok because they were making money and they were growing where it was so stagnant on Instagram. So then what happens was Reels came, and then now YouTube has Shorts, and Facebook is now pushing. They moved the follow button to the like button to a follow button, which is giving you more views. It's just like slowly everywhere you post, you're getting more engagement, more views. So I think it's just a great opportunity. And that's part of the reason why I'm so busy and driving myself nuts, is that like, I don't know where to put my hands, because there's like, where do I go? Because, oh my God, this is this, and this is this. And so, no, it's not too late. In the forms of content, I think this is also amazing. If you have all 4 platforms open, right? And you create one video and it bombs on Instagram. I'm like, okay, let me see if it's gonna do well on TikTok. Bombs on TikTok. Okay, let's throw it into YouTube Shorts. Surprise, it went viral on YouTube Shorts, and then it did okay on Facebook. Or you might hit the lottery and do well on all 4. But you have an opportunity to film one video, and at least you have 4 opportunities for it to grow you on one channel, if not all 4. So that's what I like, is that like you do one thing and you're growing on all 4 channels. And that's what I've been seeing.
That's awesome. And I think you're right. TikTok really changed the tide of the way that content's being created and the way that now the apps seem to be competing, where before it was kind of like, well, play our game or else. And now it's like, well, okay, if you can do this 9:16 vertical video and it's engaging, come here. Like, it's all about that short-term video. So I'm curious what hacks you've learned along the way for filming that have made repurposing easier as you've been able to grow on all the platforms.
The hacks, I would say, like with any video, people would say the first 3 seconds is really important. But I know for a fact that TikTok knows their flaws, right? So Instagram has it down. They have this monopoly. So if you play into what TikTok wants or whatever platform wants, and I know that TikTok wants learning content because they're not competing with Instagram, they're competing with YouTube, right? So YouTube is where we go to get information. It's almost like Google, right? I want to learn how to make the best chocolate chip cookies. Let me go to Google, search this. So what TikTok wants to be is the place where you get information too. So any content that you create that is educational, that people are learning, and you create it in a fun, interesting way, automatically the algorithm is in your favor, because how the algorithm works is that things that are interesting are the ones that are saved, shared, engaged in, right? So recipes are saved. Anything that I'm learning, I'm gonna save for later. So it's just already in your favor. So I know for a fact that that's how it works. And they invest a lot of money in their Learn on TikTok initiative. So they actually hire influencers like myself to create content that's on the Learn on TikTok hashtag. So I just know for a fact that's what they want. So you give them what they want, you have a better chances of going and getting more engagement. And then on YouTube is the flip side, which is interesting. YouTube already has it down, right? They have the long form down, they have the horizontal down. People go there for information, but now they want the short form entertainment videos to keep you to scroll, because of scrolling in the short form. So now they're pushing shorts, and they're like, give us your 60-second videos. We're not picky. I don't care if the watermark on TikTok is on it, just give it to me. We need it, because no one knows about, not a lot of people are using it. So I had an interesting week with YouTube. So you said I have 280K subscribers on YouTube right now. Last week I had 170.
What?
It was, yeah. So I had one video go viral.
Oh my gosh.
on YouTube and grew 100,000 subs in like 3 days.
What was the video about?
So it was a refurbished video, which is so funny. Is that I tested this chocolate video over and over again, repeatedly on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. And it was just me making chocolate from scratch from the cacao pod. And I filmed it in steps, but I never filmed it in a whole, like I never edited it down to one video because back then, like 3 months ago, Reels was only 30 seconds. You see how this is like, it moves so fast.
Oh, it's
right?
so fast.
So back then, Reels was 30 seconds. When I'm saying Reels, it was like 3 months ago. And so like, I can't fit all of this information in one video. So I did it in segments. Like this is the fermentation process, whatever. And so now that I had a full minute to work with, I compiled it all and posted it again. And they all did well on all the channels, but on YouTube, it has 37 million views. And that is like how I grew 100,000 subs in less than a week on one video. And it's still growing. It's like the video is like crazy. And what's great about YouTube is that they're so hungry for this short form video is that you're not competing against anyone. So if you have a great video on YouTube Shorts, it will do well, like guaranteed, because there's no competition. So the same thing like last year with TikTok, there was less competition. It was easier to go viral. And if you notice, it's harder and harder. The views are getting harder because there's more people on the platform. So it's almost like how I would say you're getting, is it when you're first to the app? Why am I drawing a blank?
Like a beginner or?
What was I saying when you're like an early adopter?
Oh,
like
yeah.
If you're an early, so Shorts is still like in beta. If you look at it, it says beta.
So tell me, if you're repurposing TikToks, is there an app that you like to use to take it from there to another? Because I know that there are apps specifically made for like removing the watermark. I know you said that YouTube doesn't care right now. Or do you simply just save it and just upload it to YouTube just as it is?
I do both. So like with the newer content, I'm editing in Splice, so that it doesn't have the watermark. But the old content that's on TikTok, I'm not going to re-edit again. Like I'm not going to go through all that footage. So I'll just pull from the TikTok and upload it with a watermark because right now they're not being picky about it. Eventually they will be, right? So with like new going on, of course, I'm editing in one place and then posting out. Like before, I had a feeling that TikTok was giving you more boost because you would edit in app. So I would edit like in TikTok and then I would edit in Instagram and then I would, it's like I'm doing too much work. And then now I'm just like, you know what, I'm just gonna edit it once on Splice and then post it wherever. So just to save time. And it doesn't seem like it made a difference. So maybe my theory was wrong.
You never know. Sometimes it is that guessing game of just, like you said, the spaghetti method of just going for it and seeing what works. So
yeah,
now that you're
figuring out.
You are dominating. It's funny because my son Jackson and my daughters are the same age, as we just figured out they know each other, they're friends. And it's so funny because Jackson said, my friends think I'm cool because I know who Mai is. Like, you're famous. He's like, yeah, because I know her. And so they think I'm famous. Like, how is that changing your life as far as your visibility? Because it has really exploded like in the last year.
I'm glad you asked that question, is because during this growth period, we were in the middle of pandemic, right? So like we were still in this bubble. So I really had a good comparison when I went into the real world to how it was a year and a half ago to now. And just being recognized so much more is very shocking. But like the way people treat you are different. And I'm not trying to like say like, but I do notice that like the work is different. People like have to have high expectations. Producers are emailing me, like publishers are reaching out. So like it's almost the point where before I was not begging, but like you're constantly sourcing work, as creative. I need to find my next thing. I need to find work. And now I don't have time where we have to turn down so much work and that like we just pick and choose the opportunities. So I have a great team behind me that like I didn't have before. So like a lot happened in like a year and a half where I signed with a great manager and team, and like they're really guiding me to like make the best decisions. And yeah, we just like there's just so much that like I'm overwhelmed of like what should I do next? But just simple things too that I don't know. The treatment, I'm just not used to it. And the biggest surprise is like the girls, all their friends are like super fans. Like the kids at their school, their teachers, they all know about our lives. Like they just like, oh, so you guys were filming this for your project this week. The teachers just know about us. And the kids want me to go pick up the girls from school because they want to meet, whatever. And I have friends from their school that DM me. It's like, oh, your daughter's in my class. It's just the weirdest thing from a year and a half ago where we're like kind of nobody, and then all of a sudden your face is like plastered everywhere.
Well, you are never nobody. And you had a very healthy, large Instagram following. I mean, what, you were at 800,000 K? Like you've been in that status, but you really have like catapulted to a new level. And you talked about your daughters. They're 13 or 14 now?
They're 12.
Okay, they're 12. So
yeah.
Right at some really important formative years, and TikTok is very much a part of your lives. I mean, it is. And social media can be hard on teenage girls. What are your concerns and how do you plan on creating a healthy relationship with that visibility and that popularity?
Oh gosh. That's something we all struggle with, like picking and choosing what we share, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what's appropriate, and respecting our kids' privacy. And there's just so much that we have to like think about responsibility about us. So even when we're having dinner, I don't geotag where I am. Like when we go check in hotels, I don't tell people where I'm staying until I check out. It's one of those little things that I didn't have to do before. I don't tell them where I work out because that's something like we regularly go that people don't know where the girls' school is unless they follow us on TikTok and the girls know. And I question if the girls even belong on social media sometimes. But then are we doing them an injustice by not allowing them, because there's so much that's going to be hands-on in the future with social and work and school. I think it's all going to be like intertwined. So there's just a lot of like parenting in this world of social media and attention that like is kind of thrown at me at once. Like, and we're also like, do you remember Mindy McKnight, right? With Brooklyn Bailey? I just see how well-rounded.
Oh, she's incredible. Yeah.
I see how well-rounded Brooklyn and Bailey are, how amazing they're doing, and how Mindy really took cute hairstyles and grew Brooklyn Bailey from it. And now Brooklyn Bailey is like killing it on social media. And like, why can't we do that for our kids if we're there too? Like, so we're looking into even like expanding the girls page and making it into something for their future, like more of like a fashion cosplay, because that's what they're into.
Oh, that's so fun.
Yeah. If I had time.
All in due time. I think what you're doing right now is going to give them plenty of opportunities, whether they want it or not, because what's really fun for your girls is the cosplay. And I think that they are going to be set up in a really cool spot where if they want to, they can. And if they don't want to, they don't have to. So I think that you're saying there, Mindy McKnight has a book, and I'm trying to remember the name of it. I will link it in the show notes below. Do you remember what it is?
I know what your book you're talking about is like raising children in social media or something like that. Like the premise of it. That's a smart book.
Phenomenal. So if you're listening to this and wondering how to parent well during this age, Mindy McKnight is absolutely the best example I've seen, especially being in a spotlight and being famous. Like she really is so down to earth, and so are her kids. So that's a really good example. Okay, so what I want to know is, what is your next goal? It's so funny on your pre-interview, you're like, more, more, more. So I'm like, oh my, oh my, what is it? What is it? Like you are in a trajectory where you truly could do whatever you want to. What does that look like? And how do you balance that with family life?
I think it's crazy to even say that. Like, I never thought this is where I would be right now in this moment in time, that like the sky's the limit kind of thing. If I work hard enough, I will get to that point if I wanted to. So the problem is now, what is it that we really, really want? More money? I think we're comfortable, you know? So like, do I really want to work really, really hard just to make more and more money? I don't think that's the purpose. So now we're looking into, what is it that I want, this legacy that I want to leave behind, or like when I retire, or like something to be really, really proud of, right? For me, my kids, my grandkids. And so it's going to start in like these baby steps. Like, we're working on a cookbook proposal right now. So that's going to be
Exciting.
in the works next month. And I kind of had to be talked into it, but I'm on board now. Here's an interesting story about the cookbook, and the reason why I was so bulking about it, because the cookbook we're hoping would be a bestseller will lead into more mainstream media. And then like, you know, we're gonna look at like Amazon, Hulu, whatever, Netflix for a show, whatever. Like that's like the end point, is I guess having your own kind of show on one of the streaming networks, right? But like, I don't know if you know, I have a cookbook already. Like, I published when I was very green. And this is like a good lesson for anyone who doesn't know what they're doing and you make all these mistakes. That was my biggest mistake. And I don't regret it, because I learned so much from it. I published with the wrong publisher. I took I didn't listen to anybody. The book was terribly put together. I didn't have any help. I didn't have the right people to support me, and I did not know what I was doing. And so when the book was published, I still didn't know what I was doing to sell books and all this stuff. So when my team came to me and set up a meeting with my lit agent, I was like, no, I don't want to do it. This is not worth it. I spent 9 months of my life and I lost so much. And like, I lost a lot of time like creating content. Like, my socials were hurting, like everything was hurting. My family was hurting because I was focused on this book, and I could have spent those 9 months creating content, you know? And it's like, you don't really make money in books. And then they kind of talked me into it, because it's like, it's not about money. It's about advancing your career and like going more mainstream and stepping out of social media, even though, because you have the social media part down. So like, we want to go to this area here. And that made a lot of sense. But here was so different. Back then, I was begging to have meetings with publishers, flying to New York, begging to have this meeting, walking away feeling defeated because no one wanted to publish my book. And like, all the publishers were like, no, you're wrong. No, you're not good for camera. You're not camera ready. Or I mean, like, I got all these doors closed in my face, and I left New York feeling really, really defeated. And like, flash forward now, I have like people from publishers from Random House and Penguin and whatever, like messaging me, begging to publish my book. I have literary agents like begging me to like rep, and my team like begging me to write this cookbook. And it's just like full circle. I have all this help and all this, like, everyone leading me the right way and pointing me in the right direction. But I know that this second book is going to be like amazing, because I'm doing it the right way. But it was just like, from being this newbie, knowing what I was doing, to now. It was a good reflection when I was in New York last month and sitting down and speaking to these people, and like them just like, you got this, to me back then begging, like, oh my gosh, it's just like, it was really overwhelming that I cried.
You've worked so hard. I mean, nonstop. So that has got to be such a good feeling.
It feels that you know that your value, before you were looking for outside validation, right? Like, people, I need it because of this. And now I know, like, internally, like, my value and what I can offer, that I don't need these people and they need me. And that is like that revelation, like that really helped me feel really confident in everything I do, is that I'm more valuable, my content value. I don't even need you guys. like I could do this. Oh, well, I need my team because they're great and they lead me. But I'm like, I don't need this outside source. I don't need to be on TV because I could get 37 million views on one video and you probably have 10 million people like watching, maybe, right? So like, do I need to even be on TV? That's like what I tell myself.
So you have this full circle moment. You're ready, full steam ahead. You have this book. What is it that you want next beyond that? Like, do you feel like TikTok is going to be where you want to live? Do you want to be on TV, or are you happy with social media and the book? Like, where does my want to end up? What is this goal?
That's so easy to say, hey, where do you want to end up? But it's like, I don't know. I'm enjoying this journey. And I feel like a lot of us always want like this end game, like what's the purpose? What's the purpose? That we don't sit and like just enjoy this moment of like this journey, this crazy ride, been like, I don't know, 8-9 years of like peaks and valleys.
Yeah.
And like, and learning from those lows and like enjoying those highs and then, you know, all those moments. Who knows what social media is going to be in 2 years from now, 5 years from now? Maybe it will take over mainstream media. And maybe what my goal was to be on television is going to be obsolete.
Yep.
So sky's the limit with social media.
So my question is, do you feel satisfied?
No.
Oh, I love it.
It's I think you feel the same way, that it's not about wanting more, but like, how can I be better at what I am today, right? What more can I give? And how far can I go? Like that's what I'm excited to see. Like I do not want to be complacent and just be okay with where I'm at. Like I always want to see how far I could go. And if you give me a goal or a number, I will shoot there. I will go there. And my team knows that. So they're like, if you hit 500,000 subscribers on YouTube, I'll take you to a BTS concert. Okay. Because it's just like, I mean, it's not about the concert, but it's like, once you give me a destination, that's like, I will find a way to get there, you know? So I think those small goals, I wouldn't say 500 is a small goal, but like those little goals that you set yourself up for in those journeys, you just keep on checking them off. But I don't think there's an end point until I retire. And I'm like, okay, that was enough.
Yeah, I believe you. I think you'll be spinning those wheels to the grave. Like I can't see you ever stopping.
No, at 55, I should slow down, and I just want to travel the world eventually and have the business run itself.
Yeah.
Right. Like, right. That's what we want. I don't want to always be so on, but I don't think I'll ever let go of the business.
I will be shocked if you stop at 55. I'm just saying that right now.
See, we could go to like Disney World together.
Oh, we could do that right now. Oh yeah. Oh, for sure. I'm going to be one of those old people at Disney, like living it up, no doubt.
Oh,
okay. Well, this is really insightful. You are so forthcoming with what you've done and how you're doing it. What advice would you give for someone who's listening and they're thinking, how do I even get to 3,000, 5,000? How do I do this?
Yeah. So the one thing that all of us create that is really toxic is this comparison, right? Into this environment of social media where she has more followers than I do, or she's doing that and why can't I do that? Or she just published a book, or she just made it on that show. And here I'm like, I'm not there yet. And all I could say is like, when you're following someone who is on that level that you're not at yet, it's great to try to aspire to be them and like try to follow in their footsteps, but never compare yourself to someone who's been doing this for 8-9 years and you're just starting off. Like there's no comparison. Like, let's go back to my videos 5 years ago and how terrible they were. So even just the little things. This is a good example. My sister-in-law started this social media page, and I'm like training her and helping her. And she's constantly comparing herself to others, to me. And she's like, oh my God, your video went viral. Or like, I didn't get this, you got this campaign. I really wanted it. Like, you don't understand like how we built these relationships for 8 years. And like, I've learned so much from each video, and there's this learning curve. And so I would just say never compare yourself to someone's, I guess, end when you're beginning. There's such good role models. If you just go back in time, their content is there. Go back to the beginning and just like follow their journey, and you'll see the growth. Like, you saw Mindy's videos when like she posted her old one. They were just looked like a handheld camcorder,
Yeah,
and it's just like in their bathroom with dark lighting. And it's just, you see that and see where they are now. Like, okay, so where are you in that timeline? And that's what I would say, because that will give you anxiety.
Yeah, which we've all had. What advice would you give for moments when you do feel that anxiety? Because we've all been there.
It's just to organize your life. Like, when you feel so overwhelmed, is to clean up your workspace, write all your thoughts down, write that check off list of things that you need to do. And let's say you had those 10 things that you need to do. The one that you're dreading the most, do that first. Get that off your table. Like, I hate editing videos. That's like the one thing, because I feel like I'm reliving the filming process. Like, like I'm doing this over again. So that's the first thing I do, is edit videos to get it off my desk. So yeah, just stress, anxiety, and don't take on too much, even though I'm the worst person to ask that question, actually. I can't. I'm so overwhelmed sometimes that like I do still deal with anxiety. And I think that's a good point. We all don't have it together. Just because we're like here or there and you're watching us and you're seeing this growth or these achievements doesn't mean that we all have all the answers either.
Amen. Amen and amen. Well, Mai, this has been incredible. Thank you for taking the time to be with us. Let our audience know where they can find you.
Ooh, which one? Instagram.
All of them. All of it.
Okay. I think, My Healthy Dish is everywhere. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. But I would love some help on Instagram, though.
Well, congrats on hitting 1 million. That's a huge marker.
I saw that coming, and we were excited. At one point I dropped to 739,000 followers on Instagram. That was when like those little lows, and I just kept on losing. And so just to learn from that moment and just growing back to 1 million, it was a really big moment.
I can't even imagine. I love how you're like, yeah, just need to grow on Instagram. It's only 1 million. It's just, I don't know. Pretty incredible. You're amazing. Thank you so much for being such an example of kindness and putting good content into the world. I love knowing that you're creating content that is making so many people happy. And it's content that teenagers can see and learn from, and just I don't have to worry about that filter. I think there's so much online right now that we worry about what our kids are seeing. And it's so nice to have educational content creators that are putting good into the world. And you have one of the best hearts I've ever met. So thank you.
You're awesome. You too. I miss you.
I miss you too.
We need to do like a hangout together, all of us.
We do. I would
the
love
girls
that.
miss your kids too.
Oh, that would be so fun. Well, awesome. I will put all the links for everything that's coming up. And when the book is coming out, I don't know when that's going to be, but I'm sure I will be sharing it on here as well. So
Yay.
Thank you so, so much.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.
Hey CEOs, thank you so much for spending your time with me here today. If you found something helpful or inspiring, please leave a comment and let me know with a 5-star review on iTunes or wherever you are listening to this podcast. Continue the conversation on Instagram at Call Me CEO Podcast, or grab your free business starter package at callmeceopodcast.com. And never forget, whether inside or outside the home, you are the boss. Over the last 10 years, my life has been greatly blessed by being able to work as a stay-at-home mom to help us pay down debt and also have more financial independence to do things we like vacationing and having fun activities for the kids. A question I get asked a lot is, how can I too create my own at-home business? And after racking my mind for quite a long time, I decided that a virtual assistant business is where it's at right now. There are so many ways to be a successful virtual assistant, and this is something that I wanted to help other moms be able to do. And that is why I created the 60 Days to VA program, and it has been so wonderful to see these women who had no previous experience be able to create a business of their own with clients and success. I have a recent graduate, Rachel, who says, "I can't believe how much I learned in only 7 weeks. When I started the course, I learned how to do administrative work that I found online, to have my own LLC, beautiful website, knowledge of how to properly market myself on any platform, and the ability to use my different business programs. I feel so professional and confident to take on new clients. I would highly recommend this course to anyone who is thinking about joining. The live sessions with Camille and other experts are worth the investment alone. You will complete the course with all the tools and resources you need to be your own boss, make additional income for your family, and really feel confident in the value you add to the business world. I want this for all of you, and I can tell you that this is the kind of confidence that will come to you as well when you take my virtual assistant course. If you are interested, go to camillewalker.co/VA. Again, that's camillewalker.co/VA.